unfortunate occurred to me recently, and it made me really start to think. I realized that I'm not very good at being a YouTube creator, and that was a familiar thought. I've had it many times since I started posting on YouTube, and I've also thought about it a lot as a writer. But it made me really stop and think about the similarities that I've kind of found between being a YouTube creator and being a writer. And there are plenty, but I think what I want to touch on before I get into that is just the fact that those thoughts always came most strong to me right before I grew a lot. To me, even though at the moment it's a difficult thought, it always indicates something bigger and better coming, and it's almost become a positive thought for me now because I know that that means that there's more work to do, there's more I can do. I'm not stuck in that place. It just means that I'm at a point where I can find what comes next. With a show of hands, who's felt imposter syndrome before? Yeah, that's not specific to being a YouTube creator or a writer. That happens to just about everybody. But I found that as a writer and as a YouTube creator, those feelings can come up, and it's been really interesting to see how to deal with them and what they kind of show for me. So, you know, as a YouTube creator, sometimes I'm feeling like, well, who am I to create content? Who am I to be giving people advice? But what I've learned, and it's the same thing that kind of can come from being a writer, is that I'm here with my unique voice to tell my own story and to share what I know. I am not going to sit here and claim to know more than everybody else. I'm not even going to sit here and claim to know more than one specific person. But I know that I have a unique perspective and a different way that I can look at things, and that can be valuable. I'm not taking space from somebody else by creating space for myself. I find that there's very similar thoughts that can come up on the side of being a YouTube creator and also on being a writer. And being a YouTube creator about being a writer, it can get tricky. Obviously, being a writer, you have to be good at storytelling and creating stories and telling them and, you know, storytelling. But it's also really important to be a storyteller as a YouTuber. Stories bring people in. It makes people want to watch all the way to the end of your video. And the more that you can create a story throughout a video that you film and upload, the more engagement you're going to get with it. So you need to be able to look at concepts through the idea of story. And I find that I'm still learning how to do this well. Like I said, I'm not incredible at being a YouTube creator, but I'm learning, and that's something that I think is going to be a huge game changer for when I can figure out how I can do that best for my own style and for the content that I post. Both writing and creating YouTube content require routine. If you just say, oh, I'm just gonna do these things, there's such a good chance that you can't keep up with it, that you let it fall to the bottom of the priority list. It's so easy for these things to get lost that I found that having a routine for them, having some sort of way that brings up the priorities, makes me really think about it, makes me kind of organize around it, helps a lot. And on top of that, these are both very creative experiences, and it's really easy to burn out when you're using that much creativity. So when I have a routine and an organization around the activity, it helps me balance things. It helps me make sure I'm not pushing myself too far, but I am giving enough that each activity is valued at. These are valuable activities to me and they're important to me. So I want to make sure I'm giving them enough, but also keeping it balanced so I don't go too far where I can't give anything. You got to treat them both like a job. I don't get paid anything to do YouTube. I do this because I enjoy it. I do it because I want to build a community here. I do it for a lot of reasons, but as of right now today, money is not one of them. I hope to one day get monetized. I hope to be able to create a monetization through this, but I need to be able to treat it like a job before it's paying me. That's how I can push through, become better, and create that kind of experience. And like with writing, I don't get paid anything to write right now. Right now? Okay. But I love it. I'm passionate about it. And I want to do everything I can to, again, grow and improve and get better at this. But that's gonna come from treating it like a job now before it's even a job. It's not just a hobby. It's not just a thing I do on the side. It's not just something that brings me joy, right? There are plenty of things that bring you joy that you don't want to turn into your whole life. But if I want to turn writing into my career and my life, I need to be prepared and ready to treat it that way. I have to give that the respect it needs to be able to go on that journey and that path. And with both creating content for YouTube and other platforms and being a writer, you've got to think about your audience. You have to think about how your art and your work is going to be perceived, what people are interested in, what they're looking for, how you can get people to engage. But, and this is a big but, you can't let that dictate or control your art. It still has to come from you first and foremost. Though, looking at audiences, bringing that into the equation can help you structure things better for whoever's on the receiving end of it. Now, I talked about how as a YouTuber and a writer, I do a lot of storytelling and developing stories and pulling all of that together. And so one thing that I have to do in both of those areas is I have to generate ideas. And that can be really difficult because, you know, just throughout my day, I come up with all different ideas of different things. And then I have to figure out if I can do something with it, right? It's not just coming up with an idea, it has to go somewhere. So go ahead and watch this video next, because that's where you'll get to see how you can tell if your idea can go somewhere, if it can become a full story, and how to move along that process.